In the last session of Parayanam, I was talking about this article written by R.K. Karanjia in the very famous, widely read weekly tabloid Blitz. He says, to Baba's devotees, remember till now he is talking about the detractors. Now he says, to Baba's devotees, the avatar has come to provide both the solution and the cure to a world living in terror of a nuclear holocaust. The false dichotomies created by the Western thought between God and man simply do not exist in the Indian scriptures, which prescribe the assimilation of God in man and man in God as the basis of religion. Our Advaita philosophy says, Jivo Brahmaiva na aparaha. There is no distinction between the Jiva and Brahman. Both are the same, one and the same. Baba personifies this philosophy. God is man and man is God, he told me. That's what the author writes. All of us have something of God, the divine spark within us. Someone very beautifully summed this up by saying, we are all not human beings having a divine experience. We are all divine beings having a human experience when we are on earth. All men are divine, like myself, with the spirit embodied in human flesh and bone. Swami has come on earth. His sojourn is meant not only to remind us that he is God, but to remind us that we too are God. The only difference is that we are unaware of our Godhead. That is, literally like we are all gods who are absent-minded presently, and we are totally forgotten that we are God. He has come to remind us that he is God, and so too we are God. For the doubting or confused minority to which section I then belonged, he says the doubting or confused minority. See, there is a minority which is confused. We don't know which is truth. There are people who say he is God. There are people who say he is not God. We are not able to decide for ourselves. What is the message that Swami has for them? Swami says, those who want to secure pearls from the sea have to dive deep to fetch them. It does not help to dabble among the shallow waves near the shore and say that the sea has no pearls and all stories about them are false. Likewise, if a person wants to secure the love and grace of the avatar, he must also dive deep and get submerged in Sai Baba. So, if you want to understand Swami, it cannot be a superficial approach. It has to be a no holds barred approach, like you must delve deep into the phenomenon and give your all, because it's not something that can be understood only at the surface. If you try only at the surface, you'll end up with a misunderstanding. Then R.K. Karanjia, remember R.K. Karanjia is a very famous editor who has the rare distinction of having interviewed a galaxy of world leaders at that time, like Jawaharlal Nehru, Nasir, Khrushchev, Castro, Zhou Enlai, Arafat, and the Shah of Iran, a few names, to show the distinction that he had as an editor. What does this man say? He says that I have still not dived deep enough into this ocean of love and devotion to secure the grace. He has dived, but he has not dived deep enough. And what is his experience? He says, my experience of Baba is limited to a brief encounter in Bombay, followed by this long dialogue at Puttaparthi. Nevertheless, the encounter was a fantastic, almost shattering one. Just imagine, you come and meet Swami face to face, and then you have a fantastic experience, one that shatters all your doubts. And how does it happen? It happens in Not only the way Swami speaks, not only what he conveys, but in everything that he does. Swamiji discarded the high throne-like chair used for darshans and group interviews to come down and sit cross-legged with us. Remember, Swami is coming down. Avatar itself means coming down. He has to come down to our level. Unless he comes down to our level, how can we ever grasp his majesty, his magnificence? So he has to not only come down as an avatar, but he has to now come down from the chair and sit among them cross-legged. And he says there was Dr. Bhagwantam who acted as an interpreter. Dr. Bhagwantam himself was a very great scientist. He was Professor Sasivi Raman's student. And where was this held? This was held in the interview room on a stone floor of a modest, unfurnished room. And the interview lasted for 2.5 hours. Baba not only radiated powerful emanations of what I can only describe as spiritual love and grace, but went on to amaze me with knowledge of the most intimate developments affecting my life and work. Swami knows everything about everything. This is the experience you get. He appeared to know beforehand the questions I had planned to ask. There's nothing hidden from the omniscient. Soon as I began asking one question, he would stop me with a gentle tap on the knee to begin answering it. Even before the question is fully out, Swami starts answering it. I never completed a question. Still, I got all the answers. This is the experience of millions of people who have come to Swami, and the lakhs of people who have gone to that interview room. Every day Swami would collect about maybe 50 to 80 people. Swami would give interview. People from different walks of life, people belonging to different economic strata, to different cultures, to different countries, to different continents, people belonging to various economic strata, and people belonging to various linguistic backgrounds. All of them had this experience. This was a common experience of all of them. When Swami went to East Africa, I remember one of my seniors telling me this. He had been a Sevadal volunteer there. He was a young adult, and he was standing there. He was very surprised when Swami chose for the interview. Of course, this is something very interesting, because the first thing that Swami does when he goes to any place is asks, where is the room you have kept apart for the interviews? Because God wants to interact with human beings. Swami is very particular. He has come to soothe our problems, to calm us down, to give us the courage and the fortitude to face the troubles of life. For him, this is the main mission. And so he says, this Sevadal brother who later on became Brindavan student, my senior, he said that he was very surprised when Swami called a big group of people who were all from the local villages. And he wondered how Swami is going to converse with them, because there were people who didn't know any other language. And yet, when the interviews were over and they were all coming out, they were all excitedly talking among themselves, and they were so happy and so ecstatic. And so he stopped them and asked, did Baba speak to you? And they said yes. And to his surprise, he found that Swami had spoken to them in the Swahili with the exact accent they knew. This is the beauty. He is the omniscient one. I also remember there was a time when the wife of the president of one of the South American countries had come to Puttaparthi. And I think it was Mexico or something. Dr. Bhagwantam had asked Swami for permission to go to Bangalore the previous day. He had told Swami, tomorrow I would like to go to Bangalore and come back. And Swami had permitted him to do so. But that morning when he saw this lady, the first lady of that country, along with a group of important people from that country. He found that none of them knew any bit of English. And so he stayed back thinking that Swami might need my help for the interpretation. And then he says he was waiting outside the interview room. Swami called this big group and took them, not a big group, it was a small group of maybe about 8 to 10 people. Swami took them inside and Swami gave them an interview for almost an hour. And when they came out, there was so much of excitement. They were talking with so much happiness. And so Swami came out and told Bhagwantam, you said you're going to Bangalore. He said, yes, Swami, I thought my interpretation, my translation might be needed, not interpretation. Translation might be needed into English so that at least it is little bit they will understand. Swami said, I didn't need any translation. I spoke to them in their own language. And the first thing Swami had asked the First Lady, how is your leg? And she was astounded because she had had an accident. She had some problem with the leg when she was embarking from a plane in some country. It was a few years before that and she had forgotten it. But Swami had not, and Swami asked her, how is your leg? And then Swami went on to speak to her for almost an hour. And then Swami told Bhagwantam, I don't need a translator. I never completed a question, but I got all the answers. That's what Karanjia says here. Swamiji's ashram, Prashanti Nilayam, the haven of supreme bliss, is fast assuming the status and symbol of a secular Vatican. Now notice that word secular Vatican, because when you talk of Vatican, people who profess the Christian faith assemble there in lakhs and millions in that place. Or if you talk of Mecca, you have the faithful, those who subscribe to the Islamic religion assembling there. Or if you talk of Varanasi or Ayodhya, you have people of the Hindu faith assembling there. But here is Prashanti Nilayam, which is a haven of supreme bliss, which is a secular Vatican. You can profess any faith, but still this is your home, because all human beings need that supreme peace. It lives up to its calling. There is something psyche about it, a spiritual presence which casts its spell on the visitor. Simple but solemn rituals enhance its spirituality. Simple but solemn rituals. Rituals are important, but beyond a certain level, rituals become mechanical if there is no bhavam, as Swami says. In fact, during the Atiruddha Mahayajnam which we had recently, the chief priest, Sri Srinivasan Garu, mentioned this. Swami told him that rituals with bhavam makes it spiritual. So this is not a religious place, this is a spiritual place. He says, I was awakened at 4 o'clock in the morning to join the Omkar ceremony in the austere temple hall, which soon reverberated to the thunder of 1,000-throated Oms. As we know, the Omkaram in Prashanti Nilayam, how fantastic it is. He says, as the thunder yielded to the silence of meditation, I could not help thinking what a mighty supersensory force could be created by a whole nation, city or village, intoning Omkar the Prashanti Nilayam way. What would happen if this Omkar is recited by thousands of people and at the same time, and that too in the Brahma Muhurtam, the early morning? It could move mountains and change the course of rivers. In olden times, it used to be employed to bring rains in times of drought and to command nature itself. And this is what we see happening day in and day out at Prashanti Nilayam, at Brindavan, and at every place wherever Swami's institutions are there. This early morning Omkar and Suprabhatam. We will end with this for today and continue it in the next session. Sai Ram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba Ji ki Jai.